And welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is one of the best ways for you to exit highly appreciated assets, if not the best way, so you can defer capital gains tax, depreciation, recapture, and so you can create and preserve more wealth. Help your clients, friends, and family do the same. In this episode, we're covering getting out of the 1031 dance, right? And that dance can be a struggle right now because values are still pretty high, and yet interest rates are climbing, and we're seeing a situation where it's not a great time to do a 1031 exchange. Every single day, we're working with investors and owners of investment real estate properties who are concerned that they're going to overpay for a property. They're going to be catching a falling knife. And so in today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the advantages of the 1031 exchange and the disadvantages, and then using a deferred sales trust to solve these challenges, so you can create and preserve more wealth, and also some pitfalls to watch out for, right? Like who to use as a qualified intermediary and who not to use. Because guess what? There are qualified intermediaries who do not want you to know about the deferred sales trust. They want to keep you in the 1031 exchange dance. And so we want to make sure that you're equipped with the right knowledge and the right connections, so you don't have to worry about feeling trapped by capital gains tax or the 1031 exchange. So let's first start with some of the advantages of the 1031 exchange. So the 1031 exchange is an amazing way to create and preserve wealth as you sell and trade into other like-kind investment property. Now, remember, it only works for investment property, but it's a great way to take a fourplex to an 8 to a 16, a retail center, move it into an industrial property. You can also mix and match different asset, commercial real estate classes like industrial or hospitality. You can go into what's called Delaware statutory trusts that are maybe a portfolio of a couple different properties. Credit tenants, those are known as like Delaware 1031s. But essentially, you bought something for $1 million, you're selling it for $3 million, you're looking at a huge gain. Instead of paying that gain, the government gives the opportunity, if you follow the rules, work with a qualified intermediary, you identify a property or multiple properties within 45 days, and then you execute and you sell and you buy that new property within 135 days. And so as long as you do it in those orders and follow those rules, you are in a deferral state, right? Which is great. And if you live long enough, you have what's called the stepped up basis. Or not if you live enough, when you die and your kids, take your assets via, some proper estate planning, they can get a stepped up basis, which means they can walk away capital gains tax free. So these are all the major reasons to do 1031 exchanges. It just makes sense. The only time you won't want to do a 1031 exchange is if you feel like, you want to spend the money on personal stuff. You can't put it into a primary home. Some of the other disadvantages of the 1031 exchange have to do with having to replace equal or greater value and equal or greater debt, which often causes you to sell high and buy higher, especially in an appreciating market. But the other part of it, you take on that more debt, which can be a big disadvantage for you. So you just want to make sure that overall it fits what you're trying to do. If you wanted to retire and not be so active in management, again, you have the Delaware 1031 option. However, if you're just, going on your own, it could mean more problems. We just did a deal in Sacramento for a deferred sales trust client, and he had 18 units that he was selling. And he said, Brett, I have 18 problems right now. Why do I want a 1031 exchange and have 36 problems? And he goes, talk to me about the deferred sales trust. So let's move into some of the solutions to some of these challenges with the 1031 using a deferred sales trust and getting out of the 1031 exchange dance, which is, first of all, we literally eliminate the 1031 exchange altogether. You never have to use it ever again. Yes, you can sell highly appreciated assets, including not only investment real estate, but primary homes, businesses, cryptocurrency, artwork, collectibles, NFTs, really anything that's highly appreciated. And it can be used in funds put into the deferred sales trust, but the 1031 exchange does not qualify for. The only thing the 1031 qualifies for is an investment real estate property. But essentially, you can sell, and we can get into what's called a blue ocean situation where you have optimal timing, right? You don't have to chase a property. You don't have to take on any more debt. Although if you do have what's called a debt over basis, you should for sure check out the video about mortgage over basis challenges and using the deferred sales trust along with a Delaware 1031 to solve that. In fact, we just did a $4.2 million property sale for my client Ron and his wife out of Colorado, who were selling a multifamily property and had about $1 million debt over basis. And we solved that using a Delaware 1031, which is a great way to solve debt over basis. And the rest of it went to the deferred sales trust. But essentially, the timing aspect is really important, right? I think it's the most important. You know, our parents taught us to sell high and buy low. And sometimes you want to get off the dance floor and you want to just relax, right? You just want to see what's going to happen, right? We have inflation that's kind of out of control right now. We have interest rates that are increasing. We have a lot of uncertainty of what's going on. And so to be able to sell your highly appreciated, maybe concentrated asset where a lot of your equity is and be able to diversify it gives you some peace of mind, gives you a chance to not have to be in the 1031 dance. The funds can sit at the bank. They could be invested into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, insurance. They could be invested into passive or active real estate deals. But I think that one of the most important things here, though, is it's dollar cost averaging, optimal timing, but it's diversification, right? And that's a powerful thing. The other thing that's an advantage for the deferred sales trust over the 1031 exchange has to do with asset protection. And so asset protection in that you don't own the trust, you loan the funds to the trust, you became a lender, and therefore someone can't sue you for what you don't own, right? Although they could potentially sue you for the income that it's producing and get a judgment on that, but they can't get to that asset that you don't own, right? So that's really important to understand the relationship of asset protection. The next most important thing I think it's really nice to know is getting out of kind of even the stepped up basis stance, right? Because a lot of folks feel like, oh, I got to just keep holding on, and keep 1031ing because I really don't want to pay the tax and I'll just get the stepped up basis. Well, that may mean delaying your retirement, delaying, increased cash flow. We just did a deal in Placerville for a client. I helped them sell a $2.5 million property, defer about $1 million or so in tax. But the biggest thing for them was they can increase their cash flow from about $120,000 to about $180, $190 per year. And that was about a 60% increase just by using the deferred sales trust. And so that is also something to consider is not only your time and your energy, but your cash flow, what phase of life you're in, and not having to feel like, oh man, I just hold on to this property, or I should just stay in this primary home. And that's where we want to help you to get out of the dance of either holding on to property or having to 1031 exchange. The next thing to consider is estate tax, right? So estate tax has to do with anything that's above and beyond your 24 million or so married or 12 million single amounts of wealth that are inside of your taxable estate. And that how are you going to get that out in order to eliminate the 40% death tax, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the stepped up basis. Really important to understand that. The stepped up basis, you can either have that or you can have it outside your funds outside your taxable estate, but you can't have both. Okay. So before people meet us, they're typically, either trying to give it all the way to charity, which is great if you're 100% charitable. They are trying to gift it, but they're running out of kids or time to gift it away. And or they're buying a bunch of life insurance. Well, guess what? We eliminated the need for all of that. And we can simply, on this close of escrow, takes a third-party buyer. We got to have someone who's buying it for fair market value. We can use what's called the DST Plus, known as also the DST 2.0, Deferred Sales Trust 2.0, where the funds and the equity now change characteristics and they're outside of your taxable estate, which is really, really powerful. Okay. So these are all the things that we want to teach you and encourage you to learn about. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. I did promise to tell you about some qualified intermediaries that you should stay clear of, okay? And again, a lot of them want to keep you in this 1031 dance. And so the bigger companies, typically the most, corporate type of companies, you want to stay clear of. And the reason is they're not friendly to the deferred sales trust. One in particular that I've had multiple calls on this past year, unfortunately, is a group called IPX. And IPX it does not cooperate so far that I've found. I hope that they do come around with clients who are wanting to have the deferred sales trust as an alternative or backup plan to a traditional 1031 exchange. And so you want to stay away from really any accommodator that does not allow you to have the deferred sales trust as an option. So that's really the first question you should ask them is, hey, have you accommodated or worked with deferred sales trust transactions out of an exchange that is either failing or about to fail? And if the answer is no, you want to run in the other direction, right? Because guess what? They're going to be holding your funds and you're going to give up those control of those funds to somebody, and you're not going to have that backup plan, right? Because they're not going to provide it. So just yesterday I had a client and just this morning I had a client or a potential client, both call me, say, hey, I'm with IPX. Can you do anything? I'm like, I can't do anything. You're going to have to either get your exchange transferred to another accommodator, which is also very difficult to do, or they probably aren't going to do that. Or you're going to have to ask them to please work with us with the deferred sales trust. Now they'll have their reasons and why they, their opinions about why they don't want to work or use the deferred sales trust. Our belief, and we believe that it's part of it's because we're their competitor, and then also part of it they don't, if we fully understand it or want to understand it, and that's okay. We just choose to take our business elsewhere. And so we have a group that we work with out of San Jose, San Francisco, and they've been around for 20 years. We close deals all the time. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and you can connect with us so we can connect you with them. But they're an amazing group. Clients absolutely love them. And we just literally exclusively use them. And we also work with other accommodators, the ones that are typically more independent or more flexible. So you can certainly work with whoever you want to work with, but just make sure that they're willing to actually accommodate, right? And so all of this basically means you want to get with us early. You want to connect with us. We'll connect with that team and we'll work this thing together. If you want to get started right now, I want to encourage you to go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com so you can start to map out your deferred sales trust exit plan. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You also check out our new book that's coming out. It's called Building a Tax Deferred Exit Strategy. And it's the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan on selling assets of any kind for yourself or for your clients. And we have people like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, people like Joe Fairless from Ashcroft Capital, people like Jake Mueller, who's a financial advisor, Buck Joffrey, who's a very well-respected, over $1 billion in real estate transactions. Just a lot of smart people that are talking about building wealth with commercial real estate, multifamily investing, diversifying in securities investments. And I have a couple chapters as well regarding the deferred sales trust and my journey to that. Also, you can be inspired to know that, thousands of closes, billions under management, perfect track record so far. All 50 states. We continue to close deals all over the country, and we want to encourage you to get with us and to understand it and to map out an exit plan. So again, you can create and preserve more wealth. So you can eliminate the 1031 exchange dance, eliminate the 1031 exchange altogether, maybe eliminate some estate tax and create and preserve more wealth. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel. Please share this with someone who can inspire today and help today. And we will